You might have heard people talking about Zapier, but you just don't know what it is and you haven't had time to research. This is the video for you. I'm going to explain exactly what Zapier is, how to use it, and I'm going to give you a really good example of something you can implement today into your business to save you and or your team time, effort, and stress. Let's get started. I've been a systems girl for over 30 years. I love systems. I love to automate. I hate anything that's repetitive. In this Zapier tutorial today, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, connecting different softwares together to communicate with each other without any coding, and how you can implement it into your business today to save you time. Let's dive in. Okay, so go to Zapier.com. You can Google it, you can just type it, Zapier.com, and sign up using your email or your Google account. You can do it on a free trial, and you can decide later whether you want to go ahead and pay, but you have a 14-day free trial, and that way you can test it out, see if it's useful, and then subscribe if you want to. A Zap is something that will do something automatically for you. They call it an automated workflow. A workflow is a series of steps. Within those steps, there's tasks. So Zapier will perform some tasks in steps that you decide, and that is called a Zap. It will talk to different software through those steps without you having to do any coding whatsoever. So when you log in, you'll see along here you've got Zaps, tables, interface, chatbots, and canvases. Don't worry about any of that. The main thing you use in Zapier are Zaps. So if you click on Browse All Templates, you'll just get an idea of all of the things that you can integrate together. So Instagram to Facebook, so you can share your Instagram posts to your Facebook page. You can save Gmail attachments to Google Drive. You can send emails when someone fills in a new row on a Google Sheet. Anyone that books an appointment with you in Calendly, it can send a message to Slack to let you and the team know. It can send payment notifications from Stripe to Slack or any other software that you would like it to be sent to. Lots to think about. The best way to start with something new is with an example that I think will help you, and this is sending a lead form entry from a lead form in Google Forms to Slack and then to your email software. In this case, we're going to use Brevo because it's free. So go back to the home page. You just click on Home on the left-hand side, and we're going to say create in the top left-hand corner and then Zaps. So we're going to create a Zap. Now it comes up with their AI assistant called Copilot. So what you can do in plain language is tell it what you want to do. So when someone fills out my Google inquiry form, send the new lead to Slack channel, then to Brevo. So if we just say send, it will then go away and think about what it needs to do. You can do this manually, but you may as well take advantage of their AI tool. So it's got it correct. It's got the 3 different softwares listed here. So it's first of all, it's the getting the information from the Google form. Then it's sending the information to a Slack channel. And then it's adding the contact to Brevo, which is a email software. Yep, that's cool. Let's do it. So add all steps to Zap. That has now made us a template, which we can close the Copilot. And this is how it's going to work. So it's just in steps, like I said. So when the Google form is filled out, it's going to send a message to Slack, and then it's going to update or add a subscriber to our email software. So the trigger is what happens to make this automation start. In this case, we're saying the trigger is going to be when somebody new fills out my lead form on my website, which is a Google form. People will come here and fill it out. If you've got a new form and you haven't already had any entries, just fill it out yourself so you've got some data to use for your Zap. If you haven't got any data in the form, i.e. no responses, then it won't work. You won't have any data to connect. So when someone fills out my inquiry form, it'll be a new form response. And we're just going to connect our Google form account here. So it comes up with a sign-in page and you just fill in your Google login and password, and that will connect the account for you. Once you've signed in with Google, it will say Zapier wants to access your Google account, and you're going to say allow. And that's all we have to do. Now it's connected to Google. So what's happening is Zapier is connecting to all the different softwares for you. We've got it connected to Google. So now we click on configure. So now we want to say which form, and we're going to say the inquiry form, smart scale. You can choose which form you want it to do. You can do lots of different forms. And then we say continue. And it's just communicating now and saying, is there a connection? Yes, it is. And we're testing the trigger, and we now see that it's got an entry. So I'm going to choose the entry to use as our guinea pig, if you like, to set up all the fields. If there was 3 there, it would say A, B, C, and you could just choose which one you want to use. I'm just going to choose the one I have. So continue with selected records. Now we're going to hook into Slack. So it will do the same thing. It'll go off and talk to Slack and connect to Slack. So you just want to sign into Slack here where it says account. Use your username and password for Slack to do that. So now it's showing that I'm connected to Slack, and now we're going to set up the message that we want to appear in Slack. So first of all, we're going to select the channel, and I'm going to type the channel I know is called Smart Scale Leads. So that's just choosing the Slack channel that I want the lead message to appear in. So this could have your sales team connected to this channel, your VA, whoever you've got assisting you would be checking this channel. Otherwise, it's just for you if you just want everything to go into this channel. It's a really easy way to manage leads in a Slack channel instead of an email. And add Zapier app to channel automatically, yes. And this is where we want the message text. So when I want to try and grab the Google Form responses data from Google Form into my Zap, I have to either press on this plus button to grab the fields, or another way of doing it is to do a /. So we just click here, /, and that will bring up the fields. So then I just choose the fields I want. First name, space, last name, space, email, etc. And if we had other fields in the form like phone number, address, anything that we ask in the form, we can bring through into our Zap and then transfer it to other software. So now in Slack, it will come up with the Google Form responses inside the Slack channel. You can just leave the bot name as Zapier. You don't need an icon. We're going to say send channel message yes, and then we're going to say continue. And now it's just saying this is the data and this is how it's going to look. New lead contact. So I could go back and just say message here. So go back to configure just so it's a little bit clearer. So after the email, you can actually just type, and that will look better now. I'll show you. Those are just the fields that are not being used. You can just ignore them, and then you can say test step and then continue, and you can see a message was sent to Slack, so it worked. You can go to Slack to check it. There it is. So the way that I now use this in Slack is myself or my sales team add an emoji when they've contacted this lead. Simple as that. It's a very simple system. Click on continue, and now we're going to add it to Brevo, which is the email software, so that they can go into a nurture series. Normally you'll probably send a series of emails to your leads. Add your nurture series into Brevo, subscribe this lead to your nurture series so that the lead can get to know you, like you, trust you, and hopefully do business with you. First of all, we're going to say add contact, and then we're going to sign in and connect Brevo. Now before we connect it, we need to set up an API key. So you go to your Brevo and click on up the top right, scroll down to SMTP and API, and then up the top you've got SMTP or API keys. Click on API keys, and then it says you do not have any API keys. Click here to generate your first API key, or you can click this big button here that says generate a new API key, and we're going to call it Zapier because it's the one that's talking to Zapier, and generate, and then we're going to copy the API key and then click OK. You don't need to hold it anywhere else. It will always be here for you when you come back. Then we're going to go back to Brevo. When I clicked sign in for Brevo, it asked me for the API key, and I'm just going to paste the API key that I just got from Brevo and I'm going to put it here. And then yes, continue to Brevo. And now it's connected to Brevo. So now we've got this Zap connected to Google Forms, connected to Slack, and now connected to Brevo. So you can see how powerful it could be of what you can do with one lead in one Zap. So for example, if you wanted to send them an invoice, you could add on your invoicing software. You could send them a text message, all sorts of things. For now, we're just going to stick to 3 and we're going to say continue and we're going to configure it. So again, we're going to map the fields from the Google Forms. So / will give you the new form responses from the Google Forms, and we're putting in the email in this field. So we scroll down until we find the email, and we don't have a mobile number, so we can't map that. Now choose the list in Brevo that I want the email to go into. So I might have a list for leads, I might have a list for customers. So in this case, I'm going to choose my Smart Scale list. You can choose whichever one is appropriate. And you're going to leave it as add because we're going to add the person to that list. And we're going to map the rest of the fields. So last name is / click on the new form responses and find last name. And first name / new form responses, first name. And we've already got the email. We don't know anything else, but we could put other things in there if we did know. And then say continue. So that's the configuration for Brevo. So here we are, the test. It's got like a little exclamation next to it until we test it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, yep, that looks right. Email, correct. Last name, correct. First name, correct. And we're going to say test step. Now it's talking to Brevo. So now it's saying a contact was sent to Brevo. So we're going to go to Brevo and we're going to go into the list and we're going to see, there it is, just been added. So that worked. So now you've got your lead in Brevo. You can send follow-up emails. You can subscribe to a nurture series. In this example, I haven't subscribed them to a nurture series, which is the automations, because I haven't set one up yet. I'm going to do that in another video. But if you had a nurture campaign already as an automation in Brevo, you could add another step to here to say subscribe to the nurture series. So then all of a sudden you've got a lead that's come in, filled out a form, and they've had an email. The sales team or yourself have been notified in Slack. You've got a new lead, follow them up. They're in getting emails being nurtured without you having to do anything. You didn't even touch it. Once this is up and going, it's on autopilot. So then, once you know it's working, you've got no warning signals coming up, it's got 3 ticks across the top, we just say publish, and now it's live. I would recommend that you save it to say very descriptive of what you want to call it. Just remember, if you get a whole lot of zaps, you're going to have to try and figure out what each one is. So, and this is normally how I name them. So lead, Google Form to Slack, and Brevo. Where it's coming from, where it's going, without being a great big long name. And that is done. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments. Tell me one thing you're going to automate once you've finished watching this video. And if there's something that you would like me to cover in a future video, let me know in the comments below. And I will see you on the next video.